Hey everyone, good morning. Um, I was just thinking of this song just a little bit ago. Bob Marley, the sun is shining, the weather is sweet. You know how it goes. Uh, I think it's gonna be overcast again. I checked the weather. That's one more like a long sleeve, but the sun is shining in my face, and it's always nice to see that. I don't know if y'all remember. I think it was like 2 years ago now, in 24, like April 24, like the eclipse, where like the sky went black for like a minute or something like that, and I mean it was real dark right before, and then it went like really black, and the birds, if you were outside watching that, like the birds especially, because they're always chirping, it got real eerie. Because or at least for me, because like just things got real quiet and still. It was like almost like they knew something. I guess they were, they were like, oh, it's time to go to bed or whatever. But anyways, it's always nice to see the sun. And anyways, I was thinking about a conversation what I had with someone yesterday as well from work. He was driving, and it's kind of slow where I'm at right now, and he's like the boss of my boss, so I guess it was cool that we chatted for like an hour or so on the phone while he was driving. And he was talking about I mean, a couple different things, but one thing that we were kind of on topic for a bit was like retirement. He was gonna retire, and then kind of got, was asked to come back, and so that kind of like altered his plans. But he was ready to retire at that point, and he's kind of telling me, not real detailed stuff, but some of it I guess kind of was a good at least enough to know that let's see, at least enough to know that there's like, if someone was to retire in the US as of now, I mean things could change, there's actually a lot more to it than just basically resigning or quitting your job or whatever and filing like a piece of paper and saying, all right, I'm ready for my Social Security. It's kind of like, I don't want to get off into it, but that's not the point of what I'm in this video. There's a lot of stuff that goes on into it, from what he made it sound like. And I made a comment, and I was like, oh man, that's I was like, that sounds stressful. And he's got, oh yeah, it's a lot. And anyways, I guess what I was saying all that to say that the wheels were turning about retirement, and like we were talking about like 401ks or Roth IRAs and different avenues to have your money kind of compound or work for you, and so he was like, oh yeah, if you can just get like $1,000, and I didn't tell him anything about my financial situation or kind of where I'm at, basically. He was just kind of throwing stuff out there, maybe for encouragement. Maybe he assumed that I didn't have a little bit of money saved or whatever. I don't know. But he was like, yeah, if you can get $1,000, and just start there, just start somewhere, and of course, yeah, you got to start somewhere. Like, I know that there's people that come from certain backgrounds, whether they've moved here, from some other country, or like life events, like had taken care of their family, and they like used up all their resources and money, and like they're starting from scratch, or maybe they never had like came from a a very like a working class that was always kind of living paycheck to paycheck, or just things were tight for them a lot, and so they're not really coming from that's the thing is to remember that everyone's different. And I will say this, and I will get back to the point, it's like if I kind of look at it like this. Sometimes I have to kind of remember and remind myself that, like, let's say I had $1 and I made $100 out of it, or I had $100 and made $1,000 out of it, so like one of them's 100x and one of them's 10x, like 10 times, like, so who really made the progress? You know what I mean? Like, or the bet, and that's kind of like starting to compare now, which can get people in trouble, like, as far as, well, I'm better and this, and, that kind of deal, and like ego kind of taking over. But the point is we have to, just take care of ourselves and walk our own journey in life, if you will. But anyways, so I understand, I guess I'm saying all that to say that I understand people come from different backgrounds and, like, what do you say, socio-economical, backgrounds. And so I understand that. So for some, I can understand, I could try to sympathize. I was not, I wasn't just gifted a bunch of money or anything like that. I guess what I'm saying is that some people probably had it harder than me. I will say that, I've been even thinking about getting like a part-time job. Like, if I had a car, I would probably Uber, like after work, kind of like what I mentioned yesterday. Like, I was talking to, I didn't even really ask his name. I was talking to the gentleman that Uber, drove me down to the car shop yesterday to get my truck. And if I had a car, that's what I would do. He drives after work. If he's tired, he'll probably just go home. But he can, like, because it's not you're doing physical labor. I mean, yeah, you're probably mentally exhausted a little bit. It's like you just sit down and drive, And anyways, so I guess what I'm saying is from my own thoughts right now for myself, I thought about, if I had a smaller car, I'd Uber drive. So I even thought about, like, maybe working at a coffee shop, or, and I know quite a few coffee shops that close at night. I'm not like a real big connoisseur or anything like that, so I don't go to a bunch of coffee shops. I'm just saying that, who's drinking coffee, at 8 o'clock at night. I mean, that's about the time they shut down, 6, 5, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock maybe. I know there's Starbucks, but I kind of want to work for like a real, like, tailored shop, something that maybe they sell like Vietnamese coffee, because I do want to learn how to make Vietnamese coffee, like Café Sua, Café Chung. There's all kinds of coffees, I'm probably gonna not pronounce it, like Bac Sua, something like that. But all different kinds of coffees. I've made some egg coffee, Café Chung. Sounds gross. Probably my favorite, hands down. I made some, anyways, point is I thought about working something like that. I need to get over here. before I start going the wrong way. Anyways, I thought about doing something like that. There's a Kroger and Albertsons like within about a mile from me, both of them, a grocery store. I thought about just working part-time at a grocery store. Point is having extra income. Even I have a job, having more income, and just doing that for like a year, just to kind of get more money saved up to work with, right? Like, when I was younger, and like I thought about doing this again too, but I sold plants. I still sell some like potting material, but so I was real fascinated with a particular plant when I was younger, and I started like buying. I'd go to a nursery and buy one, and then I'd buy another one eventually, and so I kind of had a couple, and then I had a couple $100 that sparked my interest, and I ended up buying like 50 cuttings or 100 cuttings, I can't remember, and then like one thing led to another, and saved some more money, and bought like 200 like rooted plants, and was was selling those, and then selling, the people that were buying them, they were buying potting material too, like sometimes pots, but more or less like perlite, which if y'all are gardeners, y'all would know what that is. But basically it's the white organic material in I don't know if they consider it inorganic, but which is weird is that it's like I think they make it from a natural thing, but either way it's the white balls inside of potting soil. And so like I get big bags of just that material, perlite, because it's really well draining for some plants, and plants gotta have it, just like we need different kinds of environments to live than like an alien or something, right? But anyways, it helps with drainage and aeration in the soil. But anyways, so I was doing that, and then so that was, and I was working, so I was able to save up money there, and I know I've done some other things, but I guess sometimes I guess what I'm saying is gotta get creative, and just like kind of, I know it's easier said than done because it's like day in, day out. It's just like discipline, and just like you almost have to neglect yourself sometimes. I know that sounds crazy because I'm not one to really advocate, promote that, because the other day I was just talking about being self-aware. Sometimes there's times where this guy, I'll say this to make the point. I'll tell this little quick story that this guy was I worked with just not even a couple months ago, my old job, and he said he got laid off and called me and was telling me what happened. And I was like, hey, did you talk to so-and-so and see if they had anything? And he's like, oh, I don't want to just call him and tell them that I'm looking for a job because I just got fired. That would sound bad. And the first thing that I told him, I was like, man, desperate times call for desperate measures. It's like you got to do what you got to do sometimes. And so that's what I was gonna say is like sometimes you just gotta, and maybe that's it. Maybe the desperation is a good catalyst for motivation. If everything's comfortable, if you're comfortable, like how open would you be to change? Because you're good, you're comfortable. Where it's like, if like this is not good, and you're not, and starting to get almost desperate, like I'll do anything. Well, you just said it right. I'll do anything, to do it, to change, for my situation to change. And so I was anyways, that's what I told him. But so sometimes we got to get creative. I'm not condoning any kind of I'm not condoning any kind of illegal behavior or anything like that. Sometimes we kind of got to bend the rules, you know. I'll say that. And because at the end of the day, I mean, from my experience and point of view, is like the only person that's gonna care the most about you. And this is the thing about being self-aware, and again, going back to like, this is my journey, is the only person that's going to care about me when it really comes down to it is me. And I know there's other people that care about me and love me, you know, but I'm talking about really like to the highest degree. Like I can only be the one to, you know, to really make those tough decisions. And that's where kind of like, you know, knowing yourself, being self-aware. Like I know I'm gonna know what's best for me than you know, this person over here. Like they just know me from work. Now that's not saying that I can't take suggestions or be open to hearing someone else's perspective or experience and whatnot. I'll listen. I'm all ears. At the end of the day, I gotta look at my situation and make the best decision with the information that I have, you know. But anyways, so saving money, doing whatever, you know, like I said, I thought about even working part-time at night. You know, kind of a couple of different things that I thought about doing. I haven't really employed them just because I'm still trying to get settled in with work, and I want to get my driving schedule. I thought about moving, so there's a bunch of changes, and I don't want to just like completely change everything right off the, you know, like let me get settled in work, then I can maybe even move closer so my commute's not as long, or you know, something like that. I don't want to just quit my job, or not quit my job, move, and you know, now I'm like packing up, man. I'm just now getting settled in at work, or you know, to a degree. And you know, I had other stuff I was trying to learn. I'm still open to it. I just haven't done it since I've made this transition to work, because I was trying to learn to trade pre-market. So I would like wake up like just before 6 o'clock Central Time and start around 6 or so, turn on the computer and all that stuff to about 8 o'clock. So I'd have like a 2-hour window where I was watching scanners and the charts and whatnot, and trying to do that. And I put that on hold whenever I took this job, because the time deal, like it's 7:30 now and I'm driving to work. So, you know, that kind of, you know, I'm waking up at 6 to get ready to leave the house by 7. So like that whole window, because, you know, so I'm going to see what I can kind of do. But the point is got to do something. And so because the little bit today can add up. And you know, like I know there's a bunch of people that are like, oh, go to the, you know, or not a bunch, but there's you know, big influencers that talk about going to Marketplace or an eBay, or you know, all kinds of stuff. I don't know how I would personally feel about, I've never done it, so I can't say it's bad. I'm not one to know. Like I would have to do a bunch of research and stuff, and like if I'm just not comfortable, like I mean, I don't know baseball cards. Like, hey, if that's your thing, maybe you could start collecting and selling baseball cards or Pokemon cards. I mean, I think Pokemon cards is like a big deal, or like other playing cards like Magic the Gathering or something like that. You know, but like if there's a hobby like me with the plants, like I liked the plants, so it was like fun to then interact with the people, and they're different colors, flowers, so you talk about them, and they'll, how do you take care of them or whatever, and you're just interacting with them, and since I knew about it, it was easier to communicate with some. Like, I'm not into baseball cards. Why would I go, there's just certain things that, there's just so much stuff. Like, you could pick anything. Well, I don't like this. Why would I, you know what I mean? But if that's what you're into, it makes it so much easier because you're already into it. And I guess that's why people say follow your heart, or do something you're passionate about. And, I don't know. I still like the plants. I've kind of neglected some of them. I lost a lot a freeze a year or two ago. Anyway, the point is got to do something to make some money, and then maybe use that to buy more baseball cards or buy more plants. Maybe just a little bit more, just slowly ramp up. It's you don't gotta go. That was my experience, so I'm not telling you what to do. This is not financial advice. This is just from my experience. I'm just like a regular dude. I'm literally driving to work in a 13-year-old vehicle. I'm grateful for my vehicle. I'm grateful that I got to pay for the transmission service yesterday from my job that I'm driving to now. I get the money from the job, so I'm just like a regular. You see me, all these people, we're all going to work. I'm just a regular dude. And so don't take my financial, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not licensed to do that. I'm just sharing what I've done in my life. Kind of going back to different, there was one point in time where during right after COVID or so, that I was working in a job making and this is, I'm not knocking anybody or nothing like this. This is I was shipping car parts from a warehouse, making $12.50 an hour. This was in 2022. I'm grateful for that job though. Man, I could go on about this little time period in my life, but that little job got me stable enough to get to another job, and then that job led me to my last job, and this job led me to this job. And so sometimes, I guess what I'm saying, sometimes it could be tough, and we just have to stay focused and just do the best we can, and trust that things will work out. It's sometimes it's hard to see that, and I guess that's probably where we need to come back today. What can I do today? Because I was looking for a job. This was earlier this year. I was looking for jobs, I did a couple interviews, sent out tons of applications or resumes, and nothing really worked, and then someone that used to work where I worked at reached out to me kind of when I least expected it, because I kind of gave up on searching for jobs at this point. I was like, oh, just let me hold off, kind of getting burnt out right now. I'll start back up. And point is just keep showing up. One of my college professors, I'll never forget this, he would say, the best ability is availability. I'll repeat that one more time. The best ability is availability. To show up, to be there, because that's half the battle pretty much. Because if you can know all you want, but if you're not available, what good is that to the other person? I mean, maybe even if it's like a phone call and like you tell them the information or whatever. But the point is if you're not available to provide or to share the information or whatever that's needed, like that, like it doesn't help the other person. Have you ever like needed something and you like calling the person that could tell you, or like, you know, like you're calling a service or a friend or whatever, hey, what was that thing? Well, you know, but no one's even answering. You're like, well, this, you know, they're not available. So the best ability is availability, to show up for myself. I owe that to myself, to show up, you know. And anyways, so keep doing it. I know sometimes it can seem you know, dim and tough, sometimes even hopeless. And I've been there a few times, and it's not fun. But I'm able now, you know, I can talk about that. It sucks, yeah. But, you know, like I was saying, the sun is shining. Like now, like as long as we can keep showing up every day, today's a new day. Things change. You know, one time I was going through a rough time, and this friend of mine said, his like father-in-law said, he would say, I don't remember the exact verbiage or like how it was worded. I'm gonna probably butcher this a little bit, but tough times don't last, tough people do. You know, things will change. That's something you can guarantee on, is change. Things change all the time. But anyways, this is getting kind of long. My video is probably going to cut out. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this before we get too far ahead of ourselves today. I think like the other day, like I was like talking for like 35 minutes or something like that, and it's for some reason split the video in two. Anyways, but I'm going to get going. I hope y'all have a great day. I hope this like motivated, encouraged, or you know, made you kind of get a different perspective on showing up for yourself and you know, trying to do your best, whether it was like hopeful, you know, or you know, brought some sort of different perspective or serenity, at least for a moment, at least a little glimpse of hope, because there's normal people out there that are like in the same shoes you're in, some worse, some a little bit better, you know. But point is we all start from somewhere, and you know, today's a new day. Today is a new day. It's a good day. It's a great day. Anyways, I hope y'all have a good day at work or home or with family or whatever, walking your dog or even cat. I don't know. Some people walk their cat. I find that hard. I don't know how cats are very different than dogs. But anyways, yeah, I hope y'all have a good day, and I'll talk to y'all next time.